We've got a small multi-tool here from Gerber. That is the Gerber Dime. Now this multi-tool has been spoken about a little bit in the comments in some of my videos, and it's one that I had wanted to check out for quite a while, and I got it a few months ago. Now before I begin, I will say there's a bit of a funny story behind this multi-tool. As I said, I bought it in Edinburgh here in Scotland, and some of you may know that both Scotland and the UK as a whole has some very funny knife laws. They're quite strict. Now, it wasn't actually me that purchased this multi-tool, it was actually a friend of mine. The reason being the way that they want to ID you. For some reason, showing any old ID is not good enough, even if it confirms your date of birth, even if it has the government pass on it. For some people, that's just not good enough. Sometimes they want you to show either a driving license or a passport, and that is the only thing that they will accept. I have neither. Now, I am, of course, old enough to buy a knife. Hopefully you figured that much out. But I do not possess a driving license or a passport. Now, I do have a Scot card, which does have the government pass on it. This card is accepted to purchase alcohol, but for some reason, not this little thing. Now, the funny thing is, some knife dealers don't ask you for ID if you look old enough. A lot of them will write your name and address down in the knife register, as I believe they're supposed to, and some of them are really difficult about it, like the sellers of this, which was Go Out the Doors from Edinburgh. I noticed on their website as well they also will not ship any knife or multi-tool to your house at all, period. Now, on that note, let's just have a quick little look at the knife blade of this multi-tool. So, the friend of mine had to show his passport to prove that he was over 18 to show who he was and sign a knife register for that. That knife blade is less than 1 inch, and it is non-locking, and it is a multi-tool. My God, the absolute state of Britain. My God, the absolute state of Scotland. Anyway, moving on, let's have a look at the Gerber Dime. So, I'm just going to jump straight into it and say I'm not really that impressed with this multi-tool. Now, in the shop I paid about £31, so straight away I overpaid. You can get this thing for as little as £20. £20 is a bit more reasonable. 31 way overpriced, and especially since this thing is made in China, that is a big no-no. Now, the build quality overall, yeah, it's okay. The tools, implements, not very impressive. Let's just start off with the pliers. So, the pliers, they are probably the most well-made part of this multi-tool, and rightfully so, I would say, because in a multi-tool, that is the most important feature, because that's why you buy a multi-tool over, say, a Swiss Army knife, is the pliers. Now, plenty of people have said in other videos and on other channels that these sort of pliers aren't really that useful, and I would have to agree. I mean, you're not really getting a hold of much with these. You're not going to get any serious work done with this. I mean, it's obviously not a full-size multi-tool by any means. They're pretty small, but I'm sure they've got their place. Truthfully, I have never found a single use for any of these small pliers on any multi-tool ever, because they're just too small to get anything done. Now, as you can see here, they are sprung. That's probably a good thing, especially on a smaller multi-tool. I mean, I do find that I suppose that the only use I have had from these is picking up things like screws and other small things. Right here, sticking out at the end, this is probably, what would you say, one of the most notable features, shall we say, of the Gerber Dime, and that is the bottle opener that sticks out, and I don't really see the need for that. This is one of the few multi-tools that you do see where the bottle opener sticks out, and I just like to say, what is it with multi-tool companies putting a bottle opener on absolutely everything? Like, find me a multi-tool that doesn't have a bottle opener. It's actually kind of annoying now. They're on all of them, whether it's a multi-tool like this, a Swiss Army knife, a full-size Leatherman, multi-tool bracelets, multi-tool cards. What is it with bottle openers? multi-tool companies seem to be obsessed with bottle openers. Anyway, moving on. Now, the frame of, or should I say the scales, feel to me to be aluminium. Now, I'm willing to bet that a week on the keys, this thing will be scratched to all hell, which is why I've not put it on my keys. That, and I don't find this thing to be all that useful. Now, here's my Leatherman PS4 squirt. Now, this has been on my keys for a little while. I mean, it hasn't been on my keys for a few years, but it has spent some time on there. And you can see that the paint is coming off. I've seen a lot worse than this, but I don't really want the same thing to happen to this. So if ever I do carry it, it'll be riding in the coin pocket, or the watch pocket, sorry, of my jeans. But like I said, I don't think this thing really, I don't find it to be that useful. So what tools do we have on the Gerber Dime aside from the pliers and the bottle opener? Well, here, oops, wrong side. Here we have the knife blade, which is a kind of a rather strange shape. Now, it's not a bad shape because this does look not very threatening. Out of every single knife I own, this is probably the least threatening looking. This thing is probably less threatening looking than a Victorinox Classic, and I mean those are very non-intimidating blades as is. We've got a sort of sheep's foot blade going on here with mostly belly. I mean the edge isn't really straight, which I see that as a good thing because it'll be able to slice easier. It's not very pointy, but this does strike me as a knife that would be good for draw cutting, and I do suppose that is the sort of things you'd be doing with a knife like this. Using it to open boxes mostly. I mean, I don't really know what more you can get done with a knife like that. Maybe a little bit of whittling if you really want to. Now, knife steel, not got a damn clue. Something really cheap, I would imagine. By the way, this thing is made in China. So there's another negative about the thing. I mean, don't get me wrong, I like the look of it. It feels nice, it just isn't that practical. And did I mention that it didn't come very sharp? Because it really didn't come sharp at all. But at least the steel is fairly soft, so it's not too difficult to sharpen. Now, here is one of the few things that I do like about the Gerber Dime. This little package opener thingy. Admittedly, I've never actually used the thing, but I am glad it's there. Because it is, if the thing would focus. Oh well. It is even less threatening than that knife blade. I mean, there's the cutting surface on this is tiny. I mean, we're maybe looking at, I don't know, about a centimetre there. Let's have a look. Yeah, so we've got about a centimetre cutting edge, and it's also chisel ground. So this thing would be very easy to sharpen. Not that I would imagine you would need to sharpen it very often at all. Some people say, well, why do you need that there if you've already got a knife blade? Yeah, fair point, but some of us do like that on there. I mean, I could definitely see the use of that, and I could imagine that being a good little pick or scribe or something like that. Hell, maybe it even has its place for whittling. Who knows? But this is one of only two multi-tools I've ever seen with a package opener. The other being the Leatherman Wingman, although I do prefer the package opener on the Leatherman Wingman. Now, the other tools I'm not so sure as, well, actually I've got the scissors. We've got a pair of scissors on this also. Now, I'm glad it does have a pair of scissors because a pair of scissors is one of those things that I do want on pretty much the majority of my multi-tools, especially the smaller ones because they're good for keeping your nails short, etc. So that's definitely a good thing. The quality of these scissors, they're about what you would expect. Not the greatest. I mean, they could be a lot worse. They could be a whole lot worse. But at least we do have a functioning pair of scissors there. Now, what else do we have? We've got a sort of small to medium flat screwdriver here. What more is there to say on that really? It's a small to medium screwdriver, although it looks like it's ground a bit thin, especially for the width of the thing. And if we go to this next tool here, we have a smaller flathead / Phillips driver with the world's worst file. What could you possibly do with a little file like that? I mean, it's maybe about 2 centimeters long. Let's have a little look here. No, it's actually less than 2 centimeters long. I mean, I'd like to think that that'd be a good nail file, but it's not aggressive enough. It's way too short, and the crosscut side is honestly useless. Just because of where it is, it's way too small. What are you doing, Gerber? What they should have done is this entire space here, this entire slot here, should have been one or the other. They should have had either this tool and extended it, or had this tool and extended it. Either that or had a whole new tool there. What they should have done, in my opinion, was just had it one long file and then maybe a bit bigger of a screwdriver, a larger screwdriver. That would have made this thing so much more useful. I mean, this thing just annoys me, honestly. This is absolutely the worst part about it. And the tool that I always forget about, and because they feel like copying Victorinox, a pair of really crappy, I suppose they're not that bad. We've got a pair of tweezers here, which for some reason have an angle on them, and they are actually kind of sharp. I mean, they work. I suppose it's not a bad thing having them there. That's kind of, I don't know, that's not very pretty though, it's kind of ugly. I can see that getting in the way. So let's just do a quick side comparison between the Gerber Dime and the Leatherman Squirt PS4, and let's just shove the Victorinox Huntsman beside it as well. Now let's just open them up to do a side by side. This video is not a direct comparison between the Gerber Dime and the Leatherman Squirt, but let's just have a little look anyway. Now unfortunately the springiness on my Leatherman Squirt doesn't quite work, because I think I tried to cut something that I wasn't supposed to with those wire cutters. Comparable in size, Leatherman Squirt costs, well, I'm sure at the time I paid about 35 for it, but now you're lucky if you can find it for 40. A bit more expensive than the Gerber Dime, definitely a better value. So if you had to pick between the Gerber Dime or the Leatherman Squirt, every single day of the week, Leatherman Squirt, Gerber Dime, no good, just avoid it. Unless you really want one, unless you can get it for less than 20 quid, I just avoid the Gerber Dime. Unless you're a Gerber fanboy. If you're a Gerber fanboy, you're probably not going to go for the Leatherman. Now, let me just show you what I'm talking about in regards to that file. Because the Leatherman also has a small file, but they've done it properly. So you can see there that the tools are actually, no, wait a minute, the Gerber Dime is actually a bit longer, I take that back. But look at the size difference in that file, and look how much wider it is on the Leatherman. See, that is actually a useful file. You could actually file bits of metal or plastic or wood, or your fingernails with this thing. Whereas the Gerber Dime, I mean, is just way too short. I mean, look, this thing's actually functional. Just show you what I mean here with this little ruler. I mean, you can actually do something with this. Whereas on the Gerber Dime, well, I suppose you can a little bit, but honestly, I don't think that's much use for anything. Plenty of people have done direct comparisons between these two. I'm not doing that right here just now, maybe one day. But you've already got my thoughts on the Gerber Dime. I don't like it very much at all. Glad I've got it as part of the collection, but I think it's over-designed and badly at that. This possibly could have been a great little multi-tool, but I don't know, it's a no from me. Let me know what your thoughts and comments are down below. I'll see you later.